Good morning. My name is Joseph Kleinert, and I would like to thank you all for joining me in taking a moment to honor a truly deserving individual. As this man enters retirement, we would like to take a moment to commemorate his reception of the key to the city, being selected as the Grand Marshal to the local parade, and for being inducted into the high school's Hall of Fame. Theodore Roosevelt was one of the most hard-charging presidents that the United States has ever had hold the office, and one of the quotes that embodies his lifestyle and presidency was that far and away the greatest opportunity that life has to offer is the opportunity to work hard at work worth doing. Actually, I'm sorry, I think I made a mistake in that quote. It would be far and away the greatest gift that life has to offer is the opportunity to work hard at work worth doing. My dad, Jim Kleinert, absolutely embodied this quote, and he dedicated his life to a cause greater than himself. And I would like to just take a moment to acknowledge that we all have the privilege to congratulate him on receiving these awards. Jim Kleinert was raised on a farm in a one-bedroom house with 6 siblings as he grew up. His father, my grandfather, lived on the land in a tent when he first purchased it. So you could say that my forefathers had embodied this hard-charging mentality a bit as well. My dad was forced to withdraw from school so he could help my grandfather tend to the farm and land. And despite not having a high school diploma in education and not having a college education, my dad has been able to contribute more to our hometown of Lake City, Minnesota than anyone that we know in recent memory. He began working for the high school in Lake City, Minnesota 33 years ago and has been a fixture at every town event since. He was hired to do the building and ground supervisory role, but this role, thankfully, the school got much, much more than they had bargained for, as his scope of influence was stretched far beyond the limits of the football fields and baseball fields. It was stretched far beyond the limits of being stuck scrubbing away in boiler rooms. It became to the point where an event in town could not operate or function without Jim Kleinert's help and guidance in setting up the logistical support. He is Lake City, Minnesota's version of Where's Waldo, as you will be hard-pressed to find an event taking place that Jim Kleinert is not attending at, hiding in the backgrounds, conducting and orchestrating and making sure that everything runs smoothly. He's always sporting his standard green ISD 813 apparel in the background. That is what he has been accustomed to being known as in this community. And it's going to be interesting to see what attire he decides to put on and wear when he's not able to and required to wear the school uniform anymore. We'll see if he decides to choose that same ISD 813 green, or maybe he'll switch it up and go with computer blue. Who knows? Going back to the point of how he was such a big fixture in city and town events, though, whether it was the Lions Car Show, the Relay for Life event that was being held in Patton Park, or the Veterans Memorial Service, to name a few, community members know that if you need a backbone to serve, or somebody to serve the role as the backbone of hosting your event, and you need a helping hand, Jim Kleinert is the man to call. Thankfully, when this school hired him on to be the ground supervisor 33 years ago, the town was granted an amazing gift and was given significantly more than just a janitor at a high school. And the origin story of this man, this local superhero, it's pretty simple. It's just a simple tale of a son working with his father. Despite being taken out of school and being quote unquote forced to help my grandfather work on the farm, my dad was able to hone his skills at an extremely young age while working with my grandfather on the farm and at the repair shop that my grandfather also ran. Before my dad was even 12 years old, he had already assembled his first motor by taking it apart, putting it back together. And that's something I still can't do at the ripe age of 30. And so the rest has been history with this individual. Now, as his career ends, we are thankful to give him these awards, and we're super grateful, extremely grateful that he's the one that has been selected to receive these. But we are a little bit concerned as a community. City Council member Cindy McGrath was asked, I guess, when pressed about how does he do it and how does he go from event to event, essentially, is what we were all wondering. And Cindy McGrath, the City Council member, has been somebody who has worked with my dad in close quarters throughout this entire 33 years. And all she could offer was saying that Jim's not pink, but he certainly is like the Energizer Bunny in the fact that he just keeps on going and going and going. And although giving Jim these awards, giving him the key to the city, selecting him as the Grand Marshal in the local parade, and inducting him into the Hall of Fame are certainly a good way to end the career, we're extremely curious to see and a little bit concerned to find out what happens when the Energizer Bunny no longer has drums to beat on. Who knows exactly what retirement's going to hold for this individual, if he is exactly going to be able to stay retired. Some bet and say that he's going to be right back at the school working part-time sooner than a dime could drop from the ground. Or drop to the ground if you let it slip out of your hand. But we'll see. And maybe on the Energizer theme, the colors that he's going to choose afterwards to wear are going to be pink instead of the ISD 813. But these questions all remain to be unseen at this point in time. The only things that we do know right now are that as far as the Grand Marshal for the local parade goes this year, as far as getting the key to the city being awarded this year, and as far as being an inductee in the Hall of Fame this year, Jim Clennert is absolutely one of the most deserving individuals that's been selected for these honors. And we all need to take a moment to thank him and show him our gratitude. The biggest thing that he would like us to take away, and the biggest thing that he hopes that he showed throughout his time working for the school and dedicating his time to the town, was that far and away the greatest gift that life has to offer is the opportunity to work hard at work worth doing. I hope he appreciates these awards as much as he thinks that just getting the chance to work the job was the greatest award in of itself.